Hello, you're listening to Good Brews, Bad Views, the podcast that asks if great beer makes bad movies any better. I'm your host, who is always kind and always rewinds, Max Storowich. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host, who is pushing that return time to avoid those late fees,
You know it.
Ryan Everhart.
Hello.
James is not with us today. He is on pilgrimage to Hawaii, where I am sure he is visiting the final Blockbuster store from the islands and bringing a copy of The End of the World, the final tape that was rented from that location. So we are diverting from our usual format today. We have with us Jim Toscano from the Free Blockbuster Project down in our very own Detroit. Hello, Jim.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
So before we can get into talking to you all about your Free Blockbuster Project, we have a number of questions we always ask first-time guests of the show. Question number 1. What is the first movie you can recall seeing in theaters?
I think the first film that I remember seeing was probably Rocky IV.
Okay. Yep, where he fights Ivan Drago.
Yeah,
and
I remember because the audience went crazy. Like we were at a boxing match, like everyone went nuts. So I think it was that.
God,
yeah,
I'm gonna cry missing those collective moments of just emotion at the movie theater.
Yeah,
so much.
We'll get them back soon enough, Ryan.
Yeah, we will.
Okay, question number 2. What's the first bad movie you can recall seeing, theaters or otherwise? Just a movie that you just saw that and were like, ugh, that's terrible.
Like,
yeah. There was one. I remember the first movie that I walked out of. Oh, I know. I walked out of it at Macomb Mall. You guys know Macomb Mall, right?
Oh yeah.
So they used to have a movie theater there. Do you remember the movie theater?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was a dollar show by the time I was going there.
Yeah, when I was a kid, it was like first run movies, and then the dollar show, which we still went to. But it was actually the Elmore Leonard movie, The Out of Sight, with George Clooney.
Huh.
Yeah, and I was just like, I love movies, and that was the very first time. Like, I usually, even if they're bad, I can sit through them. I was pretty frugal too, where I'd like paid for it, so I should sit through the whole thing.
Right.
But that I just couldn't get into it, man, at all. And I think that critically the reviews aren't terrible, but it was something with me, it just didn't hit at all. And I just got bored and I walked out. And that was the first time I ever walked out.
Dang, man.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
I know that movie exists, and I know I've seen at least parts of it, but I couldn't tell you a single thing about it. I don't remember anything.
Yeah, me too. It just seemed like a lot of running around, and it was just so boring. Like no story, just like mediocre action, and I just couldn't do it.
Right. Ryan, have you ever walked out of a movie?
No. Nope.
Yeah, I don't
I'll
think
stick
I
it
have
through
either.
the end, man. Every damn time.
Yeah, me too.
I'm that guy.
Me too. It just got me the wrong way.
The things that have gotten me closer to walking out of a film, it's never been the film itself, really. It's always been like something in the audience that's like, well, this is ruining the entire experience for me. But I mean, and I've sat through some trash at the theaters, but no, I've never walked out. I've been very tempted.
Yeah. Trash is cool. Boredom is not good.
Exactly. That's kind of our one cardinal rule, right? Is like it can be trashy as shit, but if you're boring, that's like nope, can't be completely boring. There's got to be something there.
Yeah, I probably went home and rented something instead.
Yes. Palate cleanser.
And last but certainly not least, as we were kind of a beer-focused podcast, what was the beer that showed you there was more to beer than American Out Drunk Lager? Kind of opened your eyes to what beer had to offer.
Yeah, so this is gonna be. I forgot about this question. But I think it's good I didn't think about it, because if I'm being honest, like my buddies never drank anything except for Bud Light and just Bud Light, Miller Lite, just garbage. And the only thing I had no exposure to anything, so I would just get Guinness. Because I just knew it was completely different, and it was usually at some of the bars on the east side, like they would just happen to, and I think it was always stale because I don't think anyone drank it except for me. So I just like looked at that bar. I was always like thirsty, good pun, for something different. And like that was the only thing I knew, like this is different. This is something different. Let me just drink drink this.
Right.
And I used to get made fun of, like, oh yeah, you got to have something different, and now everyone's, drinking all kinds of different beers. But I think that's it. I mean, that isn't even that exotic, but I was reaching.
Yeah, man.
I mean,
go ahead, man.
I was going to say, like, stouts have been appearing more and more when we ask this question to people, which is fun because, I enjoy a nice darker beer.
Yeah.
And, I think it also speaks for we're a little younger than you are, Jim. So, more selections and such like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So Jim, you and I share the exact same answer to that question. Guinness was my first touch point into something that wasn't just yellow flavored water.
Yeah. I just knew there had to be more out there, man.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Well, real quick, the theater, about the movies that I walked out of, or the first one I remember seeing, I told you about the first movie I remember seeing, but the first movie that really like blew me away and made me like fall in love with movies, or know that there's more out there, was I went to all like the mainstream movies for a while. And then Trainspotting came out, and it was at the Royal Oak, Maine. And I kind of heard about it, and I didn't exactly know what to expect. And I went and saw that movie, and it blew my mind. Like, I just remember walking out thinking, holy shit, you can do that? Like, you can tell that kind of story and make that kind of story into a movie. So that was like when I like woke up. Like, I always loved movies. But when I saw that and experienced that, it blew my mind. I can still remember walking down Main Street and just looking at the theater and thinking, holy shit, what did I just see? And then watching it a bunch of times after that. So.
Yeah, just kind of the whole just wave of emotions, like the possibilities. You're like, oh man, there could be so much more like this. What just happened to me? I want more.
Exactly.
And I love that small little theater down in downtown Royal Oak. We've Ryan and I and our co-host James, we've been there for a couple times for midnight showings or small kind of like art house film kind of stuff, and it's always a great time. Yep. I'm really hoping that they could continue to give those offerings in the coming time. So
I think so.
Yeah. But what we're here today to talk about. So recently, you may have seen online, listener of this podcast, something called the Free Blockbuster Project.
Oh, yeah.
Hosted by our gracious guest, Jim, in which you have taken a old newspaper box, the pull open kind of things, painted it blue, and have turned it into a free video rental program. Can you tell us a little bit more about this, the origin story and everything behind it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I found out about this. There's a guy in Los Angeles that started it. He started the Blockbuster, freeblockbuster.org. And the way I heard about it was actually through Philadelphia. This is the first time I've been able to tell this story completely, because we got a lot of press, and I've given everyone the abbreviated version of it. But
oh man, give us all the details.
Yeah. But the first one that I found out about was in Philadelphia, and I think it's because we did a documentary. We made a documentary called The Pretender, and it's about a Rocky Balboa impersonator, and it follows this guy through his life. And they put our film in their box in Philly. And so I was like, wow, this is, how cool that they put it in there. And they put it in right in one of the little downtown areas that we filmed a lot of it in. And I was like, wow, that's so cool that they put it in there. And then I was like, what a cool box. I mean, this thing is such a good idea, And so I was talking to the guys in the studio where, we're in a production studio. So that's right up everyone's alley. Is we all thought it was cool. And I said, let's just make one, let's make one. And everyone agreed. And so I reached out to the guy in Philly, and he's like, dude, you just, I said, how do I do it? And he said, you just do it. You just find a box and paint it up any way you want and put it out on the street. And our studio's in Eastern Market. And so it's a high traffic area, a lot of foot traffic. It's my favorite neighborhood in the city. And so we just did it. I found a box in a shopping center that we all three of us probably know of. But it was abandoned. I opened it up, and there was a tall can of Corona beer sitting in a tall boy, half full, and just garbage all around it. So I just yanked it out of there and brought it right to a quarter car wash. sprayed it down, soaped it up, sprayed it down, and brought it to the studio, and we just started working on it. And it's funny because I thought it'd take like a half a day, but it kind of took more work than we thought. We had to sand down the stickers, the old stickers that were on it, and we made a stencil from scratch, and got the right paint, and then the paint leaked. It was like, we're like, not carpenters over here. Like, we edit videos. It was crazy how long it took. They were like, Jim, is this like your life's work here? And in fact, when I put it out, Danny was like, and on the 7th day, Jim rested.
Perfect.
But yeah, we just kind of got the idea from that. I think there's about 20 of them in the United States right now, the boxes. I think there's like 3 in LA, 3 in Philly, and then the rest are kind of scattered around. But yeah, and like we put it out. I put like some movies that I had. The guys all donated a couple of films. We probably had like a dozen movies in there. And it's like it blew up as soon as we put it out there. Like we put it out on a Wednesday, and then by that Saturday, it was getting a lot of traffic. And then Monday, like all the press started calling.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and luckily it's been a pretty warm March by Michigan standards. So a lot of foot traffic I've noticed just by people walking around the neighborhood and stuff like that. COVID's kind of dying down, so there's more people going outside and such. So people love Eastern Market, so of course,
This is true. That's a true statement.
Yeah, great location. So was this like a quarantine craft or project, or is this something that you would wanted to do for a while? I guess, and are only just now putting it out.
No, as soon as I heard about it, I started working on it. Well, as soon as I heard about it, I thought, I want to do that. And then one morning, like, we've been pretty busy here, and one morning I had like a little time to kill. So I did some box hunting, to go get it. But we did it pretty quickly after I heard about it. And the guy, I kind of waited too until the guy in Philly put our film in, because I sent it to him, and I didn't want to like post ours and then have that one post. So I waited till he kind of was able to get out there and do that and promote his box. And then we started it. But it's cool because it's like we're up here editing and like bidding on projects and, working in our offices. So it's like a nice like break in our day.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so we had it in the hallway. I should send you guys some pictures, but we had it in the hallway, and we're like, I'm going to go sand the box for a little bit. So we'd go out in the hallway and sand the stickers down, and, for editing something, we'd paint the first coat, and then like, all right, I'm going to go up and finish editing. I'll wait till it dries. So it's just been kind of a cool like thing, like a coffee break to do throughout the day.
It's like a Zen garden for movie nerds.
Yeah, exactly. We're like, come and check it out, dude. This stencil worked perfect this time. So yeah, it's kind of worked like that.
But the response to this project immediately was just like off the wall, like positive. I mean, you've been posting like daily photos of like, hey, here's what's in the box today.
Yeah.
And people have been posting videos of what they're dropping off, and as well as VHS tapes and DVDs. There's also been local musicians' cassette tapes. Local businesses have been leaving little treats for people and stuff like that as well. So it's always exciting to see what pops up in that box.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. Like I kind of thought, I wonder if this is just going to be like a dumping ground for like tapes and DVDs that nobody wants anymore, But it's been like super surprising and cool that like people are really, I keep telling everyone, like everyone's very thoughtful about the box, like about what they take out. And then like a lot of times people have told me that they want to make sure that, whatever they take out, they want to like repay that level of quality when they're putting something back in it, which is like so cool. Like one guy, he got like 2 VHS tapes. It was like The Good Son and something else.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. And he's like, but so I figured like, I hate to part with it, but I have my Warriors DVD. And yeah, that's when I was like, oh, dude, you're going to give that away? Because I figured it was only fair. So he like put it in there. so there's been like a lot of that, and so which is like the best. And then yeah, like the and then some of the like the VHS, they're really going fast. Like I'm surprised that people still have the ability to play them, and I think like a lot of it is kind of collecting too, which is fine with me, because they're putting something back in return, and the turnover is amazing. Like, I put something in the box or see something in the box when I come in the morning, and like maybe an hour later I'll run down just to kind of get some fresh air. There's all new stuff in the box. I mean, it's really working. Like that's what I thought first. Like it's working.
Right. Yeah, like you're saying about the VHS tapes. Like just like a month or couple months ago, my mom was like, "Hey, I had this old VHS player of yours. Do you still want it?" And when I moved out years ago, like I took a lot of like the tapes I really wanted, like my Blade Runner's director's cut and like the Tim Burton Batman movies. I have them like set up as decoration, kind of like in my media center. So it's good to be able to actually, play them still if I want to. So I'm looking forward to seeing what tapes end up in there. As I'm young enough that I can remember watching all those movies on VHS and such. So
yeah, there was a guy. The neighbor told me, I wasn't here. It was on Saturday, and he brought over like a shallow box of VHS tapes in like not mint condition, but like he took care of them, and they were numbered, and they were all like a good variety of VHS. It was really strange. I would have asked him if I was here, like, why are they numbered? But like really a variety of movies, all on VHS and all kind of organized nicely. And he kind of set it by the box. So they were so good that I pulled them in, and I figured like we're kind of overflowing now. Like I'll send you a picture, but I'm trying to keep it like nice and neat outside and kind of curated. So I brought him in, and I've been kind of feeding him every once in a while with like maybe 3 or 4 of his VHS, because they're so cool. I mean, there's like random stuff, but good stuff. So
right.
That's awesome.
So do you kind of have like a ultimate goal? I know there's plans for a second location for your project.
Yeah, we've kind of located a box, and we just got to grab it and start working on that box. But I think like the goal, and this is just something that has come out like organically from having the box out there, is kind of getting. I'm hoping that it can be like another like venue or like stream to get independent filmmakers work out there into the world. And we had a friend of mine stop by yesterday, and he directed a documentary about the people that are obsessed with Moby Dick, the book, and it's called Call Us Ishmael. And he stopped by, and he brought a couple copies of that and put it in the box, and I think someone already took 1 or 2 of them. But like that's such a cool idea. Like if we can get like local filmmakers that have made films and have it on a physical copy to bring it by and kind of feature them that way, that just be like a great another stream for people to check out new films and filmmakers to get their films out there.
Yeah, that's really neat.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool thing, and kind of unexpected. I just like started happening. Like the other film was Meet Me at the Lindell, which is a documentary about Lindell Bar in Detroit. It was like, I think they call it like the America's first sports bar, because they're the first ones to bring in memorabilia, and Andre the Giant used to go there. And so we put that in the box, and that was gone like the first day. Like that was literally the first thing I put in there, and was gone the second day. So like that kind of planted the seed, and then some other guys have come forward saying that they want to put their films in the box. So that's pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome. Ryan and I went to high school with some people who kind of got into independent film, so we should hit them up, see if maybe we can get some of their stuff to put in the box as well. So
yeah, and then tell them the ideas, get a picture with it, or I'll come down and take their picture just so we can post it, and hopefully other filmmakers will see that this is a place they can do that.
I want to. This is really cool. It's really nice. It makes me happy to hear all these kind of like organic twists that you weren't necessarily part of your plan kind of when you started doing this, but it's very energizing to see these things happen out of nowhere, just like the community diving in. because it's just showing how much fun people want to have with it, right? Like it's a very positive thing, and it's like it's getting people involved, and they're getting excited, and they're doing all the stuff that you hadn't necessarily planned on really, but you're giving them this platform to do these things. So I think it's a great thing for the community. It's a great thing for opening people's eyes to different movies they might not normally be into or have access to. This is really cool. So I'm very excited about this.
Yeah, and like what you said, that's the other thing. It's cool to see, like, it's almost like, I'm sure you guys especially have gone over someone's house and they have like their movie collection. You like take a peek, like, what are they into? What do they like? So that's kind of like the box is kind of a window into everyone's, like, they're dropping off stuff that they own. So you're like, get to see what they like. You get to see like what kind of movies your neighbors watch, basically.
Exactly. It's just kind of weird too. Just kind of, what are these people into? Like, it's interesting in like the Airbnb space, right? You go to a stranger's house, and sometimes they have like, we've got some movies, we got a Blu-ray player. It's like, all right, what are these freaking weirdos into? And it's like 57 Steven Seagal movies and like a Scooby-Doo animation. Like,
yeah,
sure,
totally.
Whatever.
I know, totally. I actually, the girl that interviewed us for the Metro Times brought that up. That exact same thing.
Oh yeah, Geraldine.
Yeah, about how she likes to go to the same thing. Exactly the same thing, the Airbnb. Yeah, right. That's so funny. It's a cool way to get to know your neighbors, I guess, is through what films they watch. And I'm lucky I get to see like what goes first, like I get to see like how fast it gets snatched up. I know what I was going to say. On Saturday, I came down here with I have 3 kids and my wife, and they were like, let's go check out the box. My wife's like, let's show the kids the box and all that. And it was
that's so exciting.
Yeah, it was cool. And I like them to see that stuff, see something different, because we live out in the suburbs and I work down here. So I try and get them down here as much as I can. But there was like a line of people into the street, waiting to either check out the box or take a picture of the box, like literally off the sidewalk and pretty much across the street into the next sidewalk. And then like we came up here and we were hanging out in the studio, and I'd run down there every once in a while. And then people were just like congregating and holding their films and all just bullshitting and like, what did you get? What did you get? Oh, did you ever see this? I mean, like having like real spontaneous conversations. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was really neat.
And I think it's something people are really itching for after
Absolutely.
all of us have been locked up after a year and such like that. So like I when I saw the announcement about the box, I'm like, oh, I have movies I want to put in the box because I've upgraded my copies from either like DVD to Blu-ray or one version of Blu-ray to more special version of Blu-ray, and like I passed a couple of them off to my friends and whatnot who didn't have them, but like all my friends have a copy of The Room. The box needs a copy of The Room.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you just made me think of something when you said that. It's like I'm sure like if you have a VHS or a film in that gray area where like I could either keep this or give it away, but at least like it's not going to end up like in the garbage or Salvation Army that no one will, like if you put it in the box, someone that wants it will take it. You know what I mean? Exactly. Instead of like you pawning them off on someone, like, oh, thanks, buddy, and they toss it. So whoever takes it wants it. So that's cool.
Yeah, we've all gotten that white elephant.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the old Mitch Hedberg joke about running into someone with flyers in the street. It's like they're saying, "Here, you throw this away."
Yeah, I love Mitch. That's great. Yeah, that's funny.
So, can you tell us a little bit about your video production work?
So we're called Free Age, 2 words, Free Age, and we're in Eastern Market. And Danny Janino is a co-owner, and we do a lot of video work, a lot of social media for like the automakers. So we do a lot of
cool
for like Ram trucks, Jeep. We do some GM and Chevy work, that kind of stuff. And then we do a lot of like I mentioned earlier, documentary filmmaking. We've done some documentary work for Detroit Public Television.
Mm-hmm. So I've got a specific question. Did you guys do anything specifically for the Grand Wagoneer release?
No, we haven't yet.
Okay.
Yeah, not yet.
Okay. The reason I ask is I'm working on one of the parts that's in that car, so I was just curious.
Oh, cool. Oh, very cool. Where do you work?
I work for Harman.
Okay.
Automotive.
Yeah. Gotcha. Oh, yeah. We do a lot of work for Panasonic Automotive too.
Okay, roger that.
Yeah, but yeah, we do a lot of a good variety of work like that, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So this is not direct related to your project, but more, I guess, video stores in general. Uh, let's talk about maybe some memories we have from going to the video store when they were still around in our youth. For me, at least, the strongest one I have is walking through like the horror section and seeing all these covers of movies I know I would not rent because I was like, 7 to 10 or whatever, but kind of like getting a little creeped out by them, but at the same time being like, oh yeah, they're just movie cases and stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
my birthday's Halloween, so I've always been into like spooky stuff or whatnot. So I've always just like to go and like peruse and look. And there's a certain kind of cover like that a home VHS tape had that really just like drew your eyes to it. So like movies I hadn't seen yet, but would years later, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember seeing that like on the
Mm-hmm.
shelf, like Killer Clowns from Outer Space or
Mm-hmm.
Critters or all that kind of stuff. So that's my strongest memory from going to the video store.
that's a great one. I totally have those memories and moments exactly the same with the horror movies. There was a Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Mm.
That creeped me out. Like that, like burned into my memory because what is Santa Claus doing with blood on it? You know, he was like reaching out of the chimney. Do you know it?
Yep.
And he had an axe and blood on it. And that like always like as a kid, you do a double take. Like, yeah, that's still there. That is Santa with a bloody axe. Like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, that's such a pure and hollow image as a child of Santa Claus, right? Like you can't break that fantasy of the purity of Santa.
Yeah, that's a great one. And then Truth or Dare. Did you guys ever, not the Madonna one, but the horror movie Truth or Dare?
The recent one?
No,
It must be. I was gonna say
it's from the
yeah,
70s.
Oh,
I don't
not
know it,
familiar with
no.
that one.
Oh, dude, me and my buddy Mark, we used to walk up to this independent video store, and we finally rented it one day, and it was sort of scary, but just super weird, like super weird, man. And yeah, but it's called Truth or Dare, and it's just about this guy that his wife cheats on him, and so he goes on this Truth or Dare escapade where he's like on a road trip and he keeps playing Truth or Dare with people, and it just gets worse and worse. You should watch it. It's crazy. Now I want to watch it. It's so ridiculous. But renting that movie and getting that movie was one of my memories. The first time I ever went to a video store, because we kind of got our VCR later than most people. So like it was a big deal when we finally got one. And I remember going to a place that was called Rainy Day Video on Kelly in East Detroit. You know, it's East Point now. But we rented like a stack of movies. I was telling Metro Times this, like a stack of movies. Like we were so fired up, like, wow, we can get anything we want. And one of the ones in that was Stripes that we rented. And The Incredible Melting Man was another one. Like there was like one of those horror, Toxic Avenger type movies that I had to see what the hell that was all about. So we got that. It was terrible. Like, yeah, it was totally terrible. I just remember his face melting because he went into space and turned into a monster.
But you're still talking about it, so many years later. So there was value in seeing it at that time.
I love those simple but just original titles, like The Incredible Melting Man, of course, yeah. I was talking to my wife about this the other day too. Like, did you guys ever go into a rental place like Blockbuster or whatever it was and walk away with nothing? Like go home empty-handed?
I don't think so. Maybe like in my later teens when I was going there to buy like cheap video games, but not when I was, under the age of 12 when I was going in to rent something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I would typically, if I had a very specific movie in mind, like the only reason I'm making this trip is to get, XYZ film. When I was very young, usually with my family, and be like, hey, let's go get this new movie. And if it wasn't there, we'd be like, all right, well, let's go. But as I kind of got older and I started to have some of my own money, I would usually have a plan B or C. There was always something. There was a reason. I went to the store, fine, they didn't have, what I wanted initially, but I'm going to rent a movie and sit down and watch it with my friends. It doesn't matter so much at that point what the movie is, but I was going to grab something and leave.
I think maybe I went too much. and I was older than you guys too. So I was like 20, or 19 or whatever it was. And there would be times, only a couple though. Like I could usually find something, but I remember like walking out feeling like defeated, like maybe 2-3 times tops, where I'd be there for like an hour and think like, dude, I'm either got to like pull the trigger or get on with my day or night here.
Right.
But it did happen a couple times where I'm like, I don't want any of this stuff. And like,
yeah, I mean, there was no worse feeling than like going to the store or going to the Blockbuster or wherever, and like they were out of either like the hot new title, or if you're going for something less well known, if they were also out of that,
Yeah. And then like you'd rummage through the return box, like when's it supposed to be back?
Oh my God. I'm sure the Blockbuster people hated me because I obsess over stupid stuff like that. And I'm like, hey, do you guys have this back? Are you sure? Did you check the box? I'll check the box for you. Like that kind of thing.
They're like on their break and you're looking at that full return box like, come on, man.
Just a couple of eyes leering at him over the top of the counter.
Yeah, right. But my wife was like, she's not into movies as much as I am, and she looked at me like, I don't know, I don't know if I ever left. So I remember I was defeated.
My ritual was very much, especially when I got in my early teens, was to just collect as many horror movies as I could. If it was me or if I had some buddies rounded up. The Blockbuster by us was within bike riding distance, so we could get to it real easy. But yeah, it's just if it was the weekend, we were buried in horror movies and we were staying up all night watching them, stuff like that. That was really my ritual. Some of the cover, like it's fun to talk about the covers. The ones that I remember right now, I'm sure there are more, but like Dark Harvest, which is about a killer scarecrow. Cracker Jacked, which is a very hysterically low budget slasher film in the woods. It's about just there's this group of the black folks that are in the woods, and like there's this weird white dude that's going around killing everybody. It's a comedy.
Yeah.
And
Really?
It's hysterical. It's so just weird and super low budget, but there's a lot of charm. And again, we're still talking about it right now. But the other one's a cover that I remember seeing that's obviously more well known is Dead Alive. That cover always grabbed me, and it was never in, and I eventually got around to renting it. It's an incredible movie if you haven't seen it. One of the best like funny zombie movies. Absolutely amazing. But yeah, man.
Now that you mention it, I do remember the cover for Dead Alive, and It wasn't until I was, I don't know, out of college that I actually watched it, and it's one of my favorite movies.
The other thing too about the box is no algorithms. Like that's like I should like hashtag like no algorithms. Because it's like I think that's the coolest part. I mean, that's like it's like your neighbors, recommendations instead.
Yeah. And like if people not having the algorithm, hand feed you suggestions, I think that's helpful for people who just need that little tiny nudge to branch out and try something different. And I think that's a great way to just get that nudge, is just with a box like this,
Right. Yeah. Another thing too, there's a guy that came by and he makes, maybe you guys have heard of this, like mixtapes with VHS. And so he's re-editing all kinds of VHS tapes and then making some new piece of art out of it. And he'll sell like a one-off VHS tape. And then I think he'll make like digital copies, but the VHS tape he'll sell as like basically like a piece of art that you can watch.
That's an interesting idea.
Yeah. I never heard of it, and I got to get one in the box. I think that would be super cool.
Definitely.
Yeah, there's a web group that I've heard kind of does that with old like 90s commercials and stuff like that. I'm blanking on the name right now, but there's some just weird stuff that's like mixed together and how it all comes together. Old infomercials or public access TV and whatever.
Kind of like Vic Berger, or Heidecker. Kind of like a Tim and Eric.
Yeah, it's got that same feel to it.
Yeah.
So is it? Forgive my ignorance here. Is it like, is the box protected for like all seasons? Is it going to be like good in the winter? How's that set up?
Yeah, it's pretty safe because it's the box is in pretty good condition. It's got a door and it shuts and it's pretty watertight. And then it's also like under an overhang. Like during the day, I'll kind of push it out a little closer to the street so people can like feel welcome to check it out. And then when I leave for the day, usually I'll just push it back up against the wall just so it's covered from the rain and, any like high winds and stuff. It's pretty funny. It's like turned into a little job, like, let me clean this up in here. Let me tidy these DVDs up so people can see them, and then like push it into its spot for the morning. So it's kind of funny that way.
Yeah, man.
I kind of thought about this the other day, and there's so many small businesses around Eastern Market in such a close spot that I think we're going to kind of like lend it out for a couple, like lend it out to a business for a day kind of thing. So we're going to do something with the Eastern Market Brewery. So it's like Brew and View, like they have outside seating, and we'll just put it in their space so people can have a beer and kind of check out what's around and bring something home with them. And then same thing with like Sapino Pizzeria is right across the street. So we'll do like, old school, like pizza and a dinner and a movie kind of thing. So they grab a movie on their way out.
Maybe some Italian centric films in there.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Some Giallo or something,
Yeah, absolutely. We had like a ton of Stallone movies in there one day. And then they were all gone. Like some Stallone fan must have showed up and took them all. But there was like Rambo, all the Rockies.
This was the guy from the documentary.
Yeah, maybe.
He's like, yeah, screw it. I'll take them all.
Flew in. Oh, don't worry. He's got them. Yeah, so that was a cool way I think we could use the box too, is kind of help out other businesses and really just have fun.
I like that a lot. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so the organization I was blanking on earlier is called Everything is Terrible.
Yeah.
They've got some interesting videos.
Yes, it is definitely in that vein. So, yeah, I'm anxious to get one of those in there. That'll be cool.
Fun.
The giggles
Yes.
that triggered. The mind giggles.
So I guess our generation, me and Ryan's, kind of has this unique opportunity, or we have grown up seeing how media distribution has changed from video stores to Netflix back when they were doing mailing, DVDs, being able to download things online. So how do you think you or all of us would have used free Blockbuster if it was around when we were, 15 or 12 or whatever? Would you think it would have been like a gathering spot, kind of just hanging out around the box?
And riding the coattails of that question, I want to know specifically how would little Jim have approached an endeavor like this? How would you have received it?
Yeah, Well, I don't know. It's tricky because we did have the video stores to hang out in. So I would like, if I was like little Jim, I don't know if it would be like this. I would hope they would be like super weird movies, like weirder than the horror movies, like in the horror section, so like if it was me, I think I would want something that I couldn't find anywhere else is what I would want that to be. Because I think I'd still hang out in the video store, because there's like more action in there. Yeah. But I would hope that would be like kind of slightly scary box where you'd be afraid to know what exactly that is, and even more afraid to actually watch it. So I think that's how I would want it to be used. Yeah. What about you guys?
I would say it's. I kind of think back to when I moved to where I grew up. There was a library that had a pretty extensive like movie collection that were basically cheap as free to rent stuff at, and you could always just randomly stumble upon things. So like you were saying, like things you wouldn't necessarily watch or just you would check out because it was either inexpensive or, in this case, free because you're young, you don't have a lot of money. You'll gamble the hour and a half and the short bike ride to and from the box. So
yeah, you have way more time than money at that age. Yeah,
you kind of touched on this already, both you guys, but I would have loved it. For me, it would have been a great compliment to like the normal video store experience. To just really, it's like to use a contemporary analogy, it's like a loot box, right? Like, hey, this box is full of goodies. I don't know what's in here, but damn it, I want to know. So I'd probably go there just to have some of that random, what is even available, for me. But also, there's probably things you're going to be finding there that you couldn't find perhaps at the video store. So I think I would have had a healthy usage of both that and a normal video store for sure. And particularly for the horror stuff. That's kind of my wheelhouse. It generally is mostly horror, but yeah, I would have gotten a lot of use out of that.
It'd be like a supplemental
Oh yeah,
box. Yeah, that's funny. You know what else would be cool? I just thought of this if I've done this with like Super 8 movies as I got older, but like what if like back in the 80s or 90s it was filled with like they were even as weird as like people's home movies. You know, like have you ever like stumbled on someone else's like home movies from like because we have like
a gamble.
Yeah, I know, nothing weird, nothing too weird. But one time I found my uncle. He's like an antique dealer, and he gave me all this Super 8 stuff. And he gave me this was a while ago, and he gave me a projector. And I was looking through the movies and watching them, and I stumbled on like this one sleeve of like little 3-minute Super 8 movies. And I watched them all, and it was like all one family. And it started out where it was like they were getting married. It was like a young couple, and then they had a kid. And then like the kid, I remember in one of them, the kid must have been like his first day at work. And the dad brought him to, like they had a film of, he went to work at a gas station. And then like by the end of it, they were like retired and like walking by some like, in front of some water, like some lakefront thing, and this old couple. And it was so weird. Like I watched their whole life. I mean, it only took like an hour to watch it all, but they had these pieces, there's a Christmas in there and stuff. Yeah. But that like totally stuck with me. So like, if that would have been in the box, that would have really blown my mind
wild,
too.
Man. And that's just such a simultaneously very unique and just intimate thing to stumble upon. Like that's like you're seeing these people's lives, man. That's crazy.
Really crazy. And then, like the sad thing is like someone threw it out. Like they, there's some family who are like, what the hell are these? Let's get rid of these.
And did they get rid of them on purpose, or was it an accident? So many possibilities.
Maybe I didn't get the last reel where they got a divorce and then threw it out.
Yeah, that's the missing reel.
Yeah, I can remember maybe about 15 or 20 years ago. I was at my grandma's house for Christmas or something like that, and they had an old like Super 8 projector or something like that, and they had tapes of her and my like grandfather going to Mexico like on vacation and stuff like that. And so there was the entire family kind of like huddled around like this screen they set up and whatnot, and it's something that's kind of fallen by the wayside, like the home video or like the home movies kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like recently my parents got like their wedding and like my christening like converted over from like Betamax to like a DVD or whatever, and it was just like kind of struck me as like we don't do that really anymore.
No, I know. I have 3 kids and I never do it. I mean, you do it with your phone, but it's like it's not the same to like bring out like, all right, we're going to shoot this portion of your birthday.
Right.
But yeah, I always find that awkward though. Like, maybe because we do what we do, like, we're shooting and editing and, for a living. And so it's like, feels like work. And I just want to like be in the moment too, like with my kids. And like, I don't want to film their birthday. I want to like hang out with them,
Exactly. Yeah.
It's always been kind of a struggle for me. Like I never want to, it sounds terrible, but it's because of good intentions. Like I never want to shoot it. I just want to like hang out and be a part of it. And I also worry I'll take it too serious. Like, all right, relight the candles.
You're out of frame. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. Don't blow them out till we're done singing. All right, go again. Back to 1.
We'll see if any home videos end up in the box.
We'll probably be like overwhelmed by it or something. Yeah.
Well, Jim, thank you for taking the time with us today to talk about Free Blockbuster. Yeah, where exactly is the box located for people who do not know the area?
So we're in Eastern Market in Detroit, and the address is easy. It's right in front of our studio. So it's 2468 Ryapel.
Great. And you guys have a social media page, Instagram?
For the box, we have an Instagram. We're at Free Blockbuster Detroit, and that's it. That's the only thing that the box is on. But our studio, our production company is called Free Age, and we're mostly on Instagram too. Instagram and Facebook, Vimeo.
Cool. And you can find more about Free Blockbuster, including how to start your own one, at freeblockbuster.org.
Yep. Yeah, that's the best spot. Brian is the guy that runs it, and he's like super into it and is super helpful and responds quickly. If if you have any
Awesome.
questions.
Love that energy, man. Love it.
Yeah, it's really good.
Awesome. And for everyone listening, thanks for tuning into this interview. It's been a lot of fun kind of breaking from our usual format. If you like what we're doing here at Good Brews, Bad Views, check out all of our social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that jazz, just by searching GBBV Podcast. If you really, really, really like what we're doing here at the podcast, consider supporting us on Patreon at www.patreon.com/goodbrewsbadviews, where you can get access to a monthly poll where you get to choose one of the movies that we watch for the podcast each month, as well as access to the monthly column of Max's Musings, where I talk about media and its evolving nature, as well as whatever the heck's on my mind for that month. So it's a good time.
It's great.
You can send us all your hate mail at goodbrewsbadviews@gmail.com. Like and review us on your podcasting service of app. It helps people find us through the magic of the algorithm, or hashtag no algorithm.
Let's do it. Let's start it. I'm going to lean on it. Yep.
And as always, please watch
And drink.
responsibly. Filling in for James.
All right. Thanks a lot, Jim.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks a lot. It was fun.